Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today, I will be reading from the r/EntitledParents subreddit, so let's jump into it. Quote unquote, hoarding my newborn. Background. I have always had a contentious relationship with my mom. Most of my childhood, I had to combat verbal and physical abuse, while most of my family turned a rather avid blind eye to it. This included my dad, whom, after 35 years of marriage to my mom, still would not address the issues of her behavior toward her children or family members alike. As a result, most, if not all, of my dad's family refuses to speak with her. My only other sibling cut both my parents out for the past 6 years, and my mom's entire family won't speak to her. What little friends she has, she speaks poorly of, and has recently started talking about divorcing my dad. Story. I was pregnant with my first child. Since I live in a different state than my parents, my dad thought it would be a good idea to fly my mom out, to be present for the birth, so I could have some help in the week after. My husband wasn't thrilled at the idea, but thought it would help ease the transition into parenthood, with changing diapers, sleep, etc. My dad stayed behind at their home, he's building their house, and used the excuse of house building deadlines to state why he couldn't be there. He intended to come out 2 weeks after my mom did to swap the help once she returned back home, e.g. taking shifts, so to speak. Well, I get induced for delivery on Friday night, go through an intense labor where after 29 hours, I am 9 centimeters dilated. The baby won't come out, the vacuum doesn't work, and I have to have an emergency C-section. Baby is delivered Sunday at 5:34 a.m. Throughout the entire labor process, my husband made it very clear that he wants to stay with me the entire time due to the amount of complications. However, my mom, using him as her ride to and from the hospital, makes it clear she doesn't want to stay and forces my husband to chauffeur her multiple times from the hospital to the house, stopping to run errands like buying shoes, buying miscellaneous groceries, etc. Obviously, my husband was upset. By the time we returned back home with our baby, it's clear my mom has been invasive with our home. She's gone into our personal bedroom, pulled wires, cables, anything she can get her hands on. Her complaints increase about the lights in our home being too bright, the brand new rug we bought being too dusty, how she has infinite amount of experience with newborns, and we should be listening to her advice instead of the midwife's. After pulling cables from the outlets on furniture, my husband snaps at her. He asks that she leave everything alone, to please get some sleep, so hopefully she can change a shift with him so he can get some rest too. I'm unable to move to help him and bedridden due to the extent of my surgery/recovery. She gets upset and proceeds to go downstairs to the guest room and stays there for a solid 2 days without speaking to anyone. Her reclusiveness gets so bad and I can't walk downstairs that I try calling and texting her with no luck. I call my dad to see if he's spoken to her, and he brings up that he changed her flight to return back home earlier than anticipated. I figured it was because of her squabble with my husband, but my dad assures me it's for needing signatures on the house build and that he wasn't aware my mom and husband have argued. Knowing she's leaving early, my husband and I now set up all the baby furniture in our room. The setup works easier for me to help out as minimal as I can, and also preps for my mom's departure. Well, after 2 days of speaking to no one, my mom finally decides to come upstairs, and in the process is having a major fit. She begins saying that my husband and I are not very socially inviting, then proceeds to call my husband all the names in the book. This includes telling him he's hoarding the baby and a coward for not leaving the bedroom while she was insulting him. He was feeding the baby when she started mouthing off. She begins to scream at me that I won't allow her into our bedroom and that she can no longer help and she would be leaving that same day instead. Cue stomping and slamming of doors. She finds her way upstairs with her luggage and out the front door, where she starts yelling at our neighbors that we are psycho, and approaches another neighbor's car to ask if they'll Uber her to the airport. In all of this, she manages to call my dad and cry to him that my husband and I accosted her for helping. Rather than hear me out or listen to my version of the events, my dad immediately blames my mom's meltdown on me, that I should have been a better host and allowed her more time with our 5-day-old baby so she could be a proud grandma. My husband ends up texting my dad that my mom was out of line in this situation and obviously needs some kind of mental help. Rather than be understanding of that, my dad instead gets irate and begins to be belligerent on the phone, saying that he can no longer look at my husband the same way. And how dare my husband say anything about my mom to him? Let's disregard my mom disrespecting us / name calling us in our own home, and glosses over the entire reason why my mom left early. That night, I find out my mom has announced my birth to our extended family for me by posting publicly a bunch of photos of me giving birth on the hospital bed, gown and all, to random people on Facebook. None of it is private either. I message her and my dad to please remove them, as they were taken in an insanely private moment. The next day, I get another 2 texts from my parents. They ask if I somehow hacked into my mom's Facebook to see the photos she posted up and used some kind of government technology to get access to it. I used to be in law enforcement, but not that in depth. And how if I did, it was criminal, and they'd report me to the authorities. Now, I have many hills I'd die on, but hacking a Facebook page is not one of them. And if I were to go to jail for something, it wouldn't be for my mom's internet photos. I'm not sure how amazing she believes herself to be, or why any parent would accuse their child of being criminal enough to want to do something so stupid, but my guess is as good as any. I call my dad to ask why he'd even entertain such a stupid suggestion from my mom, and he backpedals before rage quitting the conversation and hanging up. Honestly, I'm so over my family and their years of poor treatment. I'm glad my husband got to see I wasn't just making things up regarding my mom's temperament. And I definitely won't be hiding skeletons in the closet for them if anyone asks why I no longer speak to my parents. They're ridiculous people and can keep their tinfoil hats on for all I care. It's just a shame that making a situation as beautiful as a birth has to be made, once again, about them. Great. Googly moogly. OP's mom and dad seem perfect for each other. They're both power-tripping asshats. Poor OP and her husband to have such a beautiful moment of bringing a newborn home be ruined by an irrational psycho of a woman. I did search the comments for a bit more clarity as to why OP even entertained the idea of her mother coming in the first place, since it's obvious her behavior isn't new, so why risk it? And OP states that neither her nor her husband have any close family, so she wanted to be amicable to her mother and father for her newborn son so that he could have at least some relatives in his life. OP has now of course realized that that was a huge mistake, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And they have since gone no contact with her parents, which I honestly think was the right decision. It's obvious that her parents think that they're perfect in every way, what they say goes, and keeping people like this in your life will only leave you susceptible to constant criticism, which is not a good environment for a child. So I really hope that OP and her husband stick to their guns with the no contact. But anyways, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this Entitled Parents story. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!